What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I'm back to review Tyler Perry's Sistas. This is season 4, episode 4, and the episode is titled The Night Game. You guys, let's jump right in. Now, we already know Calvin is big and bad in the chest right now. So we come back with him fighting this man. Now, y'all, the whole time they doing all this pushing and shoving, the only thing I keep thinking is, why is Calvin's shirt getting more see-through by the minute? What is happening? So they finally stop shoving each other, and Calvin is pissed off. He's like, he ready to go, and Sabrina is like, you just embarrassed me. And Calvin's whole issue is that basically throughout the whole time this man was talking to Sabrina, he feels like she let him disrespect him. And he also feels like she didn't speak up basically when she should have to claim him. Now, let me know what y'all think about this, because technically, again, Sabrina and Calvin, are y'all together or not? Because Calvin is introducing himself as your boyfriend, but you're still not claiming him. So therefore, we need to have a conversation on where y'all stand in this situationship, because it's not a relationship. So I'm really trying to understand what Tyler wants us to understand for these two characters, because they can break up right now. Like, they don't have to talk to each other. I don't even understand why Sabrina is trying to make this work with Calvin. Now, I will say this. To me, the situation was over after old boy walked away. And you know what? Even when Calvin walked up to him the second time, the guy was apologizing. And then for Calvin to be like, you owe me an apology, how was that making any sense? The man was literally saying like, oh, I'm sorry, that was my bad, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? How are you offended now, Calvin, talking about some you owe me an apology? Now, when it comes to Sabrina, listen, this is, again, is this your man or not? Because if this was your man, you would have been a lot more vocal into, oh, this is Calvin. That's how you introduced him. You did not say, oh, this is my man. This is my boo, my boyfriend. Hell, the nigga I'm talking to, the nigga I'm fucking. Like, we could have went as gutter as it can go. But she still never claimed Calvin. So, Sabrina, let's stop wasting time. Like, you really could move on to another guy. It's not hard to do. So anyways, now Calvin, he wants to go home. He like, let's get in the car. Let's go. Sabrina's like, I'm not going with you. I'm going to get a ride share. I'm just like, girl, who the hell says ride share? But anyways, so Calvin, he's like, oh, okay, I see what's happening right now. That dude, he gonna come back up in here. And Sabrina is like, what are you even talking about? Now you have Calvin, he's suspecting that Sabrina is doing way more than what she's telling him. Y'all, they are just going back and forth and back and forth. At one point, Sabrina, she put a little bass in her voice. And finally, Calvin tells her, you know what? You go ahead and get that ride share. Y'all, he left her. Like, he really left her in the middle of a restaurant. For me, there's no coming back. Like, he stuck you with the bill. He caused all this commotion. I know it's people looking at y'all like y'all crazy, because y'all are literally in here yelling at the top of y'all lungs in a restaurant that looks pretty nice. Yeah, there should be no coming back for Calvin and Sabrina. All right, y'all, let's hop on over to Andy and Karen. They are pulling back into the car garage so that Andy can park her new car. And they have this conversation about basically Karen telling Andy, don't fall for Gary's old tricks. Even though, these are nice gestures, you don't need to go back to Gary. Of course, you have Andy. She's like, I'm not going to go back, girl. Y'all, we already know she is not done with Gary. Even Karen has to tell her, like, girl, this was on some stalker type stuff. Him having, the fake police follow you. And Andy's like, it's romantic. I'm like, Andy, what drug are you on, girl? There's nothing sweet about this man having these people follow you. Because at the end of the day, yeah, he's tracked you for that one nice gesture, but he's still tracking your car after the fact. Gary is going to know everywhere you go whenever you drive that car, girl. So next thing you know, Karen is like, I got to get up out of here. Now, as she's walking away, she decides she's going to call Aaron. Now, where is Aaron at, y'all? Aaron is with the boys playing basketball, right? Now, you mean to tell me you have one court out there. There's only one court, and all these dudes are playing basketball together, and we did not get a scene with Zach and Aaron playing ball against each other? Considering, they kind of have a history of not liking each other, I think that we should have got a scene with Aaron and Zach playing ball against each other. But that's not what we got. So he ends up answering the call. He's surprised that he even heard from Karen because she has not been calling him. She's kind of been avoiding him. But the whole point of this conversation is that she tells him that, she wants to have a conversation with him. She wants to talk to him. And basically, he's like, okay, well, I'm playing basketball with my boys right now. Even Gary is here. And she's like, just drop the pin and I'm going to come see you. I said, all right, cool. Let's see if she finally, tells him, hey, we need to officially leave this alone because I'm about to have a baby by Zach, considering that's who she swears the daddy is. But I digress. Now, y'all, let's move on over to Danny because that heifer is a hot mess right now. She literally has El Fuego over her house. He already know what's up. So he about to start taking his clothes off. And she's like, no, I can't do this. He's like, okay, you called me over here for what then? So he start putting his clothes back on. She gets under the covers and is like, oh yeah, I guess I can do this. I'm just like, Danny, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, regardless if you seeing Preston out with somebody else, that does not mean you need to have sex with El Fuego. And then on top of that, I'm confused as to why it was so awkward and why they made it seem like El Fuego was just like kind of a mess in bed. Because didn't she already hook up with him before? Now, I could have swore when, the last time she saw El Fuego, he came back to her house. He gave her a little private show. And I thought they hooked up. I don't think that their chemistry should have been that awkward. The way he was like doing all of his whatever that was, knocking shit down. And I'm just like, what is this? Like, the last time that you was with El Fuego, did y'all not have sex? Like, did y'all just do like, you got some head and then you went to bed? Like, I need to know what was happening because I just did not understand this scene. But y'all, let's go ahead and move on. So we have Sabrina. Baby girl is still sitting at that damn restaurant. I'm like, girl, can you not afford to pay the bill? That's why you still there? Because ain't no way, after Calvin had acted a plumb fool, you think I would be staying there? Ain't no way. Ain't no way I would still be at that damn restaurant. I would not want to show my face. But Sabrina is a different type of woman. So basically, she's sitting there, right? And here comes old dude who Calvin got into a fight with. Now, he talking about I just came back from my watch because I guess it fell off, during that whole little altercation. And she's like, oh, here, I have it. I said, girl, now why did you so happen to pick up that watch? Because what you could have done is let somebody who works there pick it up. And if he was to come back and be like, hey, I lost the watch, then they would know that it was his. So were you planning on him coming back, Sabrina? Let us know. Just let us know if you are officially fed up with Calvin. And we can move on to this man. Because, baby, we learned that he got money, y'all. He said he owned the restaurant. And that's not just one location, baby. He owned all the locations that they got, okay? So, at one point in the conversation, Sabrina is like, oh, I'm about to go home or whatever. He's like, well, I can take you home. She's like, hold up, partner. No, you can't take me home. I'm going to get a ride share. So, she moseys her way out the booth and she leaves. Oh, but she did not leave without getting his card, his number on it. I feel like Sabrina is definitely going to be making a call to this man. And I'm interested to see how that goes. Now let's jump on over to Andy. Y'all, she is in her bedroom, just surrounded by some of her gifts that Gary got her. And she's like, should I call him and thank him? Thanks for the car. Thanks for the gifts. I'm just like, Andy, girl, just say, Gary, you know what? I'm about to bust it wide open for you because you already know you give me a Louis bag, it's going down. Like, girl, I feel like she is no different than these rapper baby mamas. You can surprise her with a bag and some shoes, and she about to bust it down for you. But according to her, she was going to block Gary. But next thing you know, her man Robin is calling or whatever. He is on his private jet. And, he's just checking in to see what she doing, how is she. And he's like, oh, how's the flight going? Do you have anyone else on the flight with you? And all this stuff. Of course, this man is flying solo dolo. He wished that Andy was there. But of course, Andy's playing around with Gary and his gifts. So, at one point, though, I thought they were about to, have phone sex or something because both of their voices got to that little sexy voice. It was like, oh, what are you doing? Or whatever. And next thing you know, someone called her, right? Now, we have no idea if it was Gary or not. And the reason why I say that is because Gary was supposed to be playing basketball. If he's over here dribbling down the court, he does not have time to call Andy. But we'll see if they circle back to that. But Robin is like, basically he heard that, it was someone else calling her on the line. And he's like, you're not mine. And she's like, no, I'm not your girl. But for him, he's like, yet. Like, you're not my girl yet. Y'all already know Robin is still gung-ho for Andy. And he really wants a piece of her. Even though he already had a few pieces of her. But according to Robin, he is still interested in Andy. Alright, y'all, now let's hop on over to the basketball game. Because Karen comes walking up, or whatever, and I said, ooh, y'all want this to be a scene like all those New York movies back in the day, where the girl is waiting on the other side of the gate for the dude who playing basketball. I see what y'all got going on, but this ain't above the rim, okay? And this damn sure ain't He Got Game. So, Aaron, he walks on over to Karen or whatever. And you already know he's happy to see her. Because he hasn't seen her in 2-3 days? But anyways, he's just talking about how these guys, they all meet up to play basketball or whatever. Because this is the only time that they have free. Some of them be playing till 1-2 o'clock in the morning. I'm just like, who's playing at a park at 2 in the morning? Aren't there, park shutdowns or something? Whatever. So, Gary ends up walking up and is like, hey, Karen, as if they are friends. I said, Gary, why you acting like Karen is your friend? You know she don't like you. Stop playing. So, let's get into why Karen is even waiting on the other side of this gate, though. So, she's like, I really want to talk to you. There's something important that I want to tell you. And he's like, oh, okay. Basically, girl, you can tell me right now. She's like, I don't want to tell you in front of, all of these people and stuff. I said, girl, what people? Y'all are standing in the corner. The guys playing basketball are not worried about you. But anyways, so he's like, okay, where you want to go? And Karen says, not my house, because basically I already know what's going to happen if I take you home. I said, girl, you already pregnant. You might as well go ahead and get it in while you can. I don't understand what the problem is here. So, next thing you know, Aaron is like, I'm going to follow you or whatever. Let me get my stuff. Baby, here we have Zach fumbling and dribbling the ball towards them or whatever. Well, I guess the ball must have rolled out of bounds or whatever. So, he look up and he like, Karen. And she's like, Zach. And of course she asks, you guys play ball together? And Zach is like, no, I'm on the opposite side. I'm like, damn, Zach, why you so mad? Anyway, so Karen and Aaron, they leave. And then we see Zach and Gary, they're having a conversation and basically, really introducing themselves to each other and, asking like, oh, what do you do? All this stuff. So now they want to connect together. I said, isn't that interesting? Maybe Gary can prove that he's a good guy by helping Zach in some way, shape, or form. Like, maybe he's a good person outside of being a boyfriend. I'm trying to find a reason why we still have Gary around. But let's move on. All right, y'all. So we hop on over to Fatima. Yes, Zach and Fatima. Zach is in the bed. I'm like, baby, I'm hoping that you took a shower this time. Because ain't no way you about to come up in my house musty and smelly after playing basketball. And prior to that, you had sex. But whatever. It's clearly the next morning, and Fatima is waking up, and she's just asking him about like, oh, how was the game and all this stuff. So he tells her it was cool or whatever, and then he brings up this whole storyline about how he went to this girl house. He had to stop somewhere at some woman's house, and Fatima has a little attitude. She's like, that's lying by omission because you never mentioned anything about some woman. And Zach, not Zach. Fatima is getting out of bed. She goes to the bathroom. So Zach, he's like, 3, 2, 1. And she's like, Zach. So then we see what happens in the bathroom. Basically, Zach has mentioned to her that he loves to watch her sleep, right? So he said that he actually met this photographer. She taught him basically how to use the camera and everything, and he has been taking photos of Fatima while she sleeps. And I'm like, that's sweet, but a little creepy, but I don't hate it. And I will say that I do see what Tyler is trying to do with the whole Fatima storyline, because if you're going to give them a spinoff, we need to see what that would look like outside of the rest of the sisters. So I've noticed that when it comes to their storyline, he tries to give them like simple problems that they have to kind of work through, or like show how loving and affectionate that they are towards each other, versus the sisters over here. They just can't get right. Like, all of them are so flip-floppy, it's ridiculous. I'm like, I wonder how he's going to write this Fatima story. How is he going to write this new show, or if he's going to bring in the writers for that show. But we shall see, y'all. All right, let's jump on over to Karen and Aaron, because this whole little scene was a waste of time for me. She sits up here and she keeps mentioning how she has things that are important that she wants to tell him. However, she ain't told him nothing. This whole thing was pointless. She didn't tell him, I choose you. She didn't tell him, I'm moving on from Zach. I don't want him no more. She's not saying that she's pregnant. She's not saying anything. And I'm like, you know what? I am tired of Karen and Aaron and them having conversations circling around nothingness. Like, I don't even want to talk about it. We're going to go ahead and move to the next scene. So, since it's the top of the morning, Karen, she ends up calling Andy so that way she can tell her, don't get in that car that Gary brought you. Go ahead and drive your car. And Andy's like, how do you know that I was making that decision? Are you like stalking me or something? And it's like, girl, no, she knows you. She knows that you are clearly still interested in Gary and all his gifts that he is giving you. So Karen, she ends up telling Andy that, she wants to get all the girls together and she has something that she wants to tell them. I'm like, okay, maybe she's finally going to tell them that she's pregnant. We shall see. This might not happen till like 3 episodes from now. But Andy brings up the fact that, Danny is pissed off at you. And Karen is like, just invite her. I have something that's very important that I need to tell y'all. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's jump on over to Zach. He makes a phone call to Gary to ask him about stocks. And Gary is like, you know what? What made you even, bet on the one that you did? And he's like, I guess it's just luck. Because, he can't say that some lady told him to bet on it. So, Gary said, you know what? I want to refer you to my partner who knows a bit more or whatever. And I'm just like, you know what? I did not hate this scene. As much as we don't like Gary, like him helping Zach out, and I'm hoping that it's like in a positive way, not some like, oh shit, we all about to go to jail type way. I don't mind it. I don't mind showing two black men working together to help each other out. So we'll see where that storyline goes. Alright, so let's get to this last scene, y'all. We see Danny. She is kicking old boy out. You already know how she do. Fuego, you got to go at the top of the morning. She got to go to work. So, El Fuego, he ends up, getting his clothes on super fast. And he heads out the door. Keep in mind, he told her, oh yeah, come lock the door. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm coming. But she ends up grabbing her phone and calling Sabrina. So Sabrina goes on to talk about Calvin, how he got into a fight, all this stuff. Of course, Danny is still making her jokes about Calvin. And I'm just like, but I thought that we weren't going to do that anymore. No? Okay. So throughout all that, what Danny gathered was that basically Calvin is trying to prove how much of a man that he is because of everything that went down with Jacoby. Now keep that in mind, y'all, because if I'm not mistaken, Sabrina is going to repeat that same line to Calvin when she talks to him. Again, the things that Calvin said about her and how she takes things that other people say and runs with it, he told no lies, because that's exactly what she did in this scene. Well, in the scene coming up. But Danny, she actually ends up telling Sabrina, like, oh, well, I stopped this guy from doing some human trafficking at my job. I hit him with a shoe, but it was a very proud moment for her. And Sabrina was like, I'm really proud of you for doing that, But next thing you know, they hop off the phone, right? So then there's a knock at Danny's door, y'all. And it's the guy who she just, rescued the girl from. Y'all, he is at her door, at her house, talking about some Danny. So she, tries to close the door. He, puts his hand in there so she can't close it. And she, runs to her kitchen, grabs a knife or whatever. And that is where the episode ends. Now, from the previews for the next episode, it looks like he has a gun while she has a knife. But I feel like there's going to be a twist to this story that, maybe he's an undercover cop or something. We'll see, though. We'll see. But let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.